Hi everybody, it's me Jill and welcome to Jill Informed. This is the recap of the Real Housewives of Orange County, Season 13, Episode 21, The Reunion Part 3. Okay guys, this is it. This is the final installment for Season 13 of the OC, and this final part starts off with a montage of Kelly. It's funny having a little look back at all of the antics of Kelly, and I really liked Kelly this season. I thought she brought some comedic relief to the show. We go through her dating and the milkman and all that. We get to relive that creepy guy who she was macking on at that dinner. Remember that ladies' dinner? It was like the first time that all of the girls were together in a scene. And then this guy shows up, sits down at the table. Oh God, it was so gross. We go back over how she broke up with him because she was going to buy a pair of sunglasses and then he put the same sunglasses on the counter because he was going to buy them too, and then he only paid for his own sunglasses and not Kelly's. And somebody said, "You broke up with him for that?" And Kelly's like, yeah, I did. It might have been a viewer question saying, "You dumped a guy because he wouldn't buy you sunglasses? What kind of a message does that send to Jolie?" Kelly's like, "Well, I'm a very generous person, and when somebody is cheap with me, that doesn't cut it. And that's the message I'm sending." They asked about Michael and if Michael had a new girlfriend, and she said that he does. Andy goes, "Vicky, have you met her?" And Vicky goes, "Mm-hmm." Kelly goes, "Blonde or brunette?" And Vicky said brunette, and Kelly confirmed, yes, that's who she's thinking of too. And then Vicky said, "But I don't like her for him. She's a lot younger. She's 38 years old." And Kelly goes, I'm 43. I wouldn't say that's a lot younger. And Vicky said, "I meant a lot younger than Michael. I guess Michael is 60. Listen, it can work for some people. It really can. But I think over the long haul, when you can't reference pop culture with somebody and have them know who you're talking about, or relate your childhood or life experiences, and they don't have those same references, I'm not saying it's insurmountable, but I just think that can add another hurdle to a relationship. And relationships can be hard enough on their own. You don't need to add anything to it. Kelly does say that she wants to be in a relationship. She likes that feeling of having someone to come home to. She said she was dating somebody that Shannon fixed her up with, but that's not working out because he argues with her too much. I think what Kelly said was she wants someone quieter. Don't we all? Then, of course, and I was waiting for this, we get to relive Eddie's birthday party when Kelly approached the table where Steve and Shane were standing. This was interesting because for this reunion, when that scene is playing, in that lower left corner, we get to see the reaction shots of the ladies who are sitting there at the reunion. Vicky was just very stoic and straight-faced. Kelly, I think, laughed a little. And Emily had a very slight, momentary, before she could catch herself, cringe when Shane said, "You mean that's your normal behavior?" Emily was watching that, and Emily went, just for a split second, "Oh, Shane, why did you say that?" At least that was my take. Because I saw the same thing when they showed the "I will kill you" part, which, Emily, do not cringe for that. That was television gold. That will remain one of my favorite moments of this entire season. And that's all you, girl. You should be proud of yourself for that. You made great television your rookie season, and there is nothing to be ashamed of. Oh, but Kelly imitating Shane, I'm sorry, gives me life. It was so good. So much better than I ever could have done. "That's your normal behavior? Ew." It's so good. It's funny. She is giving Jeana a run for her money with the facial expression there. Anyway, Emily and Jeana, who has to get involved in everything that doesn't concern her, both think that Kelly's reaction was disproportionate to what Shane had said to her. Then Andy says, speaking of disproportionate, we then see Emily threatening to kill Kelly, which, I mean, good point. That also was a little disproportionate to somebody calling your husband a little bitch, especially if, like I suspect Emily does, you think that your husband might have done something to deserve it. Just a little bit. I think she goes through life often explaining away Shane's behavior. I mean, maybe not life, but definitely this show. Anyway, Kelly said, you know, it's against the law to threaten somebody's life. And of course, she's telling Emily, who knows the law because she's a lawyer. So Emily said, that's only if the person feels like there's a reasonable threat to their life. And so Shannon pipes up with, well, you did have to be restrained. And Emily turns to her and gets her finger in her face and said, I'm not talking to you. Emily, with all those phone calls from Shane before the reunion started, telling you they're probably going to say this and they're probably going to say that and here's how you should act, I feel like you are throwing away all of Shane's coaching by letting Shannon get to you like that. You lost control. I mean, it makes good TV, of course, but I'm sure that's not what Shane wanted her to do. Anyway, Andy Cohen says to Kelly, did you really feel like your life was in danger? And Kelly goes, yeah, I watch Snapped. I watch Criminal ID. I watch Wives with Knives. What are these shows? Actually, I think my daughter watches Criminal ID. That's a network that has all these true crime stories. But Wives with Knives? How have I not heard about that? So yeah, I'm sure that all this TV viewing on Kelly's part is giving her a very vivid imagination as to what could happen. But somebody calls her out on the fact that she told Emily to hit her that night. And she goes, yeah, I said, hit me, go ahead, hit me. And Andy was like, well, why did you say that? And she said, because I wanted her to hit me so that I could hit her back. All right, fair enough. Tamara and Kelly both accuse Emily of constantly making excuses for Shane. Emily denies that. Tamara said, yeah, but when you have to always be telling people, well, my husband is sarcastic. And then Kelly goes, you seem like an odd couple, the two of you, because you are a very nice person and he doesn't seem like you at all. Anyway, she's like, that's all. I mean, I can have my opinion, and how he treats you is all that really matters anyway. But see, for me, that's part of what my problem is the way he appears to treat his wife. I don't like that. When your beautiful wife is all dressed up and ready to go out to a party, and she says, how do I look? And your response is, well, it's red. That's not nice. You don't have to grab her and kiss her in front of the cameras, but couldn't you tell her she looks pretty? That's the kind of stuff that I think that sort of controlling or psychological crap. That is a big part of the reason why I have a problem with Shane. I don't like that. Not to your wife who loves you very much. Anyway, Emily gets pretty emotional at this point, and she said to Kelly, I mean, you and I are friends, but you can't talk about my husband. I think it was Vicky that said, yeah, I mean, of course she's going to defend her own husband. And then everyone kind of backed off. And Kelly apologized to Emily and said that she wasn't going to get involved in the future, that she would stay out of it. Who here believes that Kelly will really stay out of it in the future? Okay, next we are discussing the Jamaica trip. We start off with Vicky twerking, and Vicky is shielding her eyes while they're showing the montage of her twerking, and all I could think was, you and I and all the other viewers at home did not have the luxury of knowing what was coming before it was on our TV screens. So unfortunately for us, it is still burned into our eyeballs. But Vicky gets to shield her eyes from it. Feels a little unfair to me. Okay, now we get into Tamara and Shannon's relationship. Tamara says, let me just get something straight right from the beginning. I was okay with Shannon calling me all the time, and I was okay being there for her. It's just that when I had something going on in my life, that it felt overwhelming. Shannon says she doesn't want to bring everybody down with her troubles. Okay. I mean, every time you open your mouth, tells a different story, but okay. Anyway, she said, I was fun on the plane going to Jamaica. I was fun in the salt spa. It wasn't until that first dinner when she saw the text that her house had sold, and she said that made her very sad. And then she claims that, and later that night I was up dancing even though my ankle hurt. Camera cuts over to Jeana, who goes, so many problems. It is exhausting. Well, nobody's talking to you right now, Jeana. What is going on with her? It's just like sheer hatred of Shannon, that whenever Shannon speaks, Jeana cannot control herself. Anyway, Tamara is actually agreeing with Jeana, which is kind of crappy. Shannon's like, all I meant was that I was being fun. And Tamara goes, then just say that. You don't have to talk for 10 minutes. Okay. As someone who goes into way too many details when she tells stories, I was feeling Shannon here. Editing is hard. Shannon makes this big martyr comment, and she said, I don't normally lean on people the way I did you, Tamara, but I felt safe to do that with you, but clearly that was asking too much of you. So, of course, Tamara takes exception to that because Shannon put it in a way that makes her look like a victim. So Tamara got angry and said, oh no you don't. Do not flip this on me and make me look bad. Cut to Jeana. That's not right. Oh God, Jeana, you're still here? So Shannon says to Tamara, well, you saying that it was exhausting being there for me makes me feel stupid. And Tamara said, I just felt bad that my friend couldn't ask me how I was doing. Then Andy asks Shannon, why weren't you open to taking antidepressants when the ladies were suggesting that? Shannon's response was, well, because if they were really concerned, they should have come to me one-on-one, not all at once on camera. I mean, like, she kind of has a point there. Then they're talking about that dinner that led up to the big fight in the room. And that's, of course, now this involves Jeana. Shannon's take was that Jeana was kind of trying to start trouble between Shannon and Tamara by saying, okay, let's see how good this friendship really is. Then Tamara turns on Jeana and says, first of all, I really couldn't believe you did that. And Jeana says to Shannon, you ignored me for 4 months. You made zero effort to get to know me, and you were not being a good friend to Tamara. Again, that part's not really your problem, Jeana. And then Kelly turns to Jeana and said, so what? It took me 2 years for Shannon to like me. And Jeana goes, I don't like to be disrespected. Then Shannon, had me lost me, girl. Shannon is just unnecessarily mean, I think, because she said, truth is, Jeana, I just don't really like you. From day one, you were screaming in my ear about how Vicky was breaking girl code. So we see a flashback, and that's that dinner I was talking about earlier where Kelly's creepy boyfriend came at the end to make out with her. That was the first time a lot of them were even meeting Emily and Jeana. And so we see the flashback, and no, Shannon, Jeana was not screaming in your ear. She wasn't even screaming. So that's a little embellishment. Then Andy Cohen is like shifting gears, and he said, Vicky, how did antidepressants help you when you broke up with Don? And she said, well, they helped me get up and go to work every day. I was very depressed, and it just got me through it. So then Andy says to Shannon, so then why do you take the suggestion of antidepressants as an attack on you or something? And Shannon said, because it's like saying, you can't handle your own life. Look at you, you're a mess. And Tamara said, is that something David has said to you? And Shannon goes, all the time. All the time. And said, oh my God, you just like hit a nerve with me by saying that. And Tamara goes, I could tell by the way you said that it had been said to you multiple times. Then Andy says, Vicky, Tamara, Jeana, you have all made comments about Shannon's drinking. Are you seriously concerned that Shannon has a drinking problem, any of you? And everybody said no. I mean, judging from this reunion, I'm a little less convinced than the others. Right away, Vicky said, I'm not. And Tamara said, I don't think she has a problem with alcohol, but I do feel like she has self-medicated at times. And Shannon said, oh, for sure I have. I know I have. So then Andy said, okay, so is there anything else that we haven't addressed? And Shannon goes, no, I don't think so. And Tamara said, I have a question. To Shannon, she said, are you just going to ignore me now? Like, just ice me out like you have before and, not talk to me until we film again in February? And Shannon said, no. I have been seeing my therapist every day. Oh, God. Every day. Every day since that episode aired, I guess, in Jamaica. And she said she was hurt by the feeding frenzy. It seemed like once one person would say something, then everybody else piled on. So she said, I was afraid to talk to you before this. And then Andy and his favorite question, where do you two go from here? Shannon said, I guess I have a lot of work to do on listening better and not icing people out, which I guess is something I tend to do. And then Tamara said, and I'm sorry that I talked to Jeana and the girls about my feelings, but I really felt like I couldn't say them to you because you always twist everything around to make me the bad guy. Maybe years of being with David taught you how to do that, but you're doing that to me. So again, Shannon says, yes, that's true. And she said, I think in general to the group, thank you guys for being patient with me. And Andy was like, Tamara, you really made that connection with David. I feel like that was like a breakthrough. And Tamara goes, it just like rang a bell with me. Like, I've never heard her say that before. And it just seemed like something he might have said to her. Now we get a flashback of when Jeana and Kelly had gone over to Shannon's house right after Shannon's surgery. And Jeana told her that her friends were talking about her mental health, basically. That flashback clip also shows that it was Kelly who brought up Tamara's name. And Tamara saw that too, because Tamara's like, yeah, thanks. And Kelly goes, well, I just said her because she's got a big mouth. And Tamara's like, so do you. Andy asked Jeana, why did you bring it up? And Jeana said, because she was alone and I just thought she deserved to know. So Shannon said after they filmed that scene, she called Jeana back up to her room and asked her, why would you bring that up? And Jeana goes, no, you didn't. That's not what you said. You said, I have a history of not remembering things, and I want to be clear. I'm afraid I'm going to lose my kids. So I want to know what was said. And Jeana said, I felt bad for you. I told you I was going to the deck later that day and that I was going to tell Tamara. And you said, please don't. Well, Shannon denies that. And Jeana goes, yes, you did. You're lying. Or maybe it's just your selective memory. I got to tell you guys, my money is on Jeana because Jeana always gets the story straight. She does. Whenever there has been a flashback showing something that Jeana claims was said or not said, it always corroborates Jeana's story every time. And based on the fact that there's been a lot of hyperbole on Shannon's part during this reunion, my money's on Jeana. Shannon also denies that she ever told Jeana she was worried about losing her kids. And she goes, I never said custody issues. Don't put words in my mouth. Jeana, then don't say those words. You are an open book of bullshit. Then Tamara says to Jeana, you knew it was a jackass move to talk to her right after her surgery like that. And Jeana said, I'm sorry. I felt sorry for you. And Shannon, and are you concerned too? Oh, God. And now Jeana gets emotional and she goes, I felt terrible for you. I do. I'm going through it too. It sucks. It hurts to get your heart broken. And she's crying. Now Shannon believes her and said, I appreciate the apology. So then Andy says to Shannon, when Emily apologized for the comparison between you and her mother with mental illness, Why didn't you accept that apology? Shannon said, well, at the time I thought it was insincere, blah, blah, blah. Since then, I have talked to her about it. And Andy said, and you accept it now? And she said, yes, I do. And he said, what about Jeana's? And she goes, yes, I said I did. I said I appreciated it. And Andy goes, it seems like you accept their apology, but you hate them. Everybody laughed. And Jeana's like, that's pretty much it, Andy. And Emily said the same thing. I think you hit the nail on the head. And it was actually funny. Shannon, of course, said no, that wasn't true. And she goes, it's going to take some time. I mean, I've got a lot of history with these three. And of course, she's pointing to Kelly, Tamara, and Vicky. So Andy said, okay, so we've gotten through the two of you and Shannon, meaning Emily and Jeana. And it seems like you're not going to freeze out Tamara. It seems like Kelly and Vicky, baby steps maybe with you two. Vicky goes, yeah, baby steps. And Kelly goes, I used to love hanging out with Vicky. And Vicky goes, I'm fun. I think that's debatable, but okay. So we end with Andy saying, I want to go around the room and ask you to tell me one moment from this season that you would take back if you could. He starts with Kelly, and she said that her worst moment was when I said David was a saint. And then he asked Jeana, and Jeana says to Shannon, I would take back inserting myself into your business and what happened in Jamaica and the conversation I had when I visited you after your surgery. And are you also going to take back every comment and facial expression you made about Shannon during this reunion alone? Anyway, Emily said the thing she would take back would be threatening to kill Kelly. Again, don't you dare take that back, Emily. Do not take away the best scene of the season. Vicky said that she would take back when Michael had asked her and Steve to keep secret that he was dating that girl, that if she had the chance to do that over again, she would have told Michael, leave me out of this. Don't put me in that position. Tamara said that she would take back venting her frustrations about Shannon to other people. And Shannon said she would have taken back that day in Jamaica when she iced everybody out. And we end season 13 with a shot of tequila for everybody. And that is it. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that Emily and Jeana are both going to come back next year? Do you think they should come back next year? Do you think that any of the OGs should maybe hit the bricks? I think part of the problem with the new girls was the storyline situation. First of all, we were trying to force them to have these play dates with their kids, and that was boring. And then the whole thing with Jeana, it makes me wonder if Matt found out at the last moment that he couldn't be on camera or he'd lose his job, and that Bravo was already committed to Jeana, and so there was nothing for Jeana. Like they almost didn't know what to do with her because it was just her and her kids, and she couldn't even film with her husband. The divorce was weird because we never saw or heard Matt. So we did not know his side of the story. We don't know anything about him. We don't even know the sound of his voice. It felt weird. Like we were seeing this marriage unravel, but we weren't familiar with the marriage in the first place, you know? So that kind of didn't work for me. And I know some of you guys have mentioned this, and I think you're probably right. Toward the end of the season, I felt like Jeana was trying too hard to be relevant. And that wasn't working for me either. Now, Emily, well, we got Shane. So that was, in the grand scheme of things, Shane was one of the best rookie season husbands that Bravo has ever had. Yeah, he fell into the villain category, but in a weird way, Shane helped Emily be more interesting. Right? We got the whole little bitch storyline, and his arguments with the other women, and his demanding to be apologized to from Jeana and then Kelly, and it was ludicrous, but better than non-existent Matt, right? So I don't know. I wouldn't mind, I guess, if they both came back. As far as the other ones, Shannon, I love you, girl, but you cannot have one more season where you are crying about David. I think you've milked that storyline dry, and we are done. As viewers, we are done. And here's the thing. I'm not saying get over it if you can't. If you truly can't get over it, like, I would rather you take a season off. Go ahead, take care of yourself, get over it, nurture yourself, do what you need to do, and then come back when you truly can be fun, Shannon. And then Tamra, girl, you didn't have a storyline either. Your storyline was Eddie's AFib. That's not fun. Everybody needs to watch the last 2 seasons of The Real Housewives of New York City and study these women, because somehow they consistently bring it. It's not overly depressing and it's not boring. So it's working. Somehow that is working. So OC needs to, emulate that model somehow and make it work for Orange County. That's what I think. All right, guys, I'm so happy you were here with me for season 13. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I am always sorry to see a season end, but we've got some other stuff going on. We've got New Jersey and Vanderpump Rules, and I believe we are, like a month away maybe from Beverly Hills starting up again. So do not despair. We still have a lot of stuff going on. All right, thank you so much for joining me. Please consider subscribing to Jill Informed if you haven't already. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And take care. I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.